The image of this newly explored planet was not too dissimilar to Vale, but in a moment of nostalgia, the blue with splashes of green made him recall Earth as it had been so many centuries before. What made the one in view stand out was not only how clear it was, almost completely devoid of any humanoid life and modern civilization, but also the intriguing patches of pink that dotted it. Most of it seemed to be closer to the north, for which there was no doubt a logical explanation. When he'd looked at the file to find out what it was, however, he'd only been given hypotheses. The last record indicated that it seemed to fall, much like snow. But on the ground it shifted and felt like soft sand, and didn't melt like snow did. According to some of the lab boys and girls, it wasn't natural to the planet. Most suggested it was created after parts of the world were glassed in a war long before. Johnson studied the image and almost smirked at the irony. It probably hadn't seen a humanoid species in thousands of years, but the first time a new group stepped foot on it, trouble followed. The experience and instincts that had been the reason why he'd been pulled out of cryo, and that had since pushed him into his current rank as Sergeant Major of the military, recognized the reality in very simple terms. The trouble the planet faced was war. He sighed as he took a narrow cylindrical rod from his jacket pocket. The people on Vale had told him proudly when he'd thawed fully and had been desperate for a smoke that it was called a wisp, a newfangled device they created after tobacco and vaping were outlawed. It allowed former smokers or vapors to get the feel of their vice and a hint of flavor without the harmful effects. The hope, of course, was that eventually it would help them to stop altogether. He had been given his first one 6 years earlier and was nowhere near quitting. Then again, most people probably didn't have as stressful a job as he did. It was something of a challenge to effectively have oversight of Vale's military, and the ingrained old-school rank structures persisted on some level, which in turn created a certain degree of conflict within. Never in his wildest imaginings before going on ice could he have imagined that a sergeant major would carry that kind of overall responsibility. Of course, he could understand the oversimplified logic behind it. He'd been thawed at that rank, and the military at the time had only loosely resembled its Earth counterpart. Rather than create new ranks, they had simply added, of the military. This only worked because most ranks between his and the general of the military, to whom he reported, simply didn't exist. Anything above the old sergeant major level was simply captain or commander, but the three magic words leapfrogged him to the highest rank, since that was what they needed from him.